Talk to me, talk to me. I've been trying to look inside your heart. Talk to me, talk to me. But silence keeps on pushing us apart. I want to know what you really see before it's too late and you're far away from me. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Your voice is like a song I long to hear. Talk to me, talk to me. All these days will pass on into years, so if in doubt, remember that you're free, and all I want is for you to talk to me, talk to me.
Come into our house of hope and love, of peace and justice, of wholeness and healing. Come in where we welcome the certain and the seeking, the long-timers and the newcomers, the beloved and the brokenhearted. All of you can find a home here at Throop, where we go love the world from the heart of Pasadena and from the heart of our homes. We're always so glad to welcome our friends joining us on live stream. This Sunday, we finish up our eco-spiritual worship theme of Drawn Into Love, and we'll consider the ways that our value of equity calls us to pay close and careful attention to one another. Today after worship, we have quite a few things happening in support of our Throop community life. One thing is every fourth Sunday, we make sack lunches after the worship service for the Friends Indeed Street Outreach team. When you leave worship and go into Throop Hall, which is through those doors, you'll see long tables set up with all sorts of ingredients to make yummy sack lunches, and you are all welcome to help make those. We also, after the sack lunches and at 12:30, we will dedicate a beautiful urbanite wall that has been constructed to frame our beautiful Throop Learning Garden. And we're dedicating that wall in honor of beloved member Tom Hawkins, who died almost a year ago. And Tom left the congregation a generous bequest, and it is with those funds that we were able to create that wall. We have a beautiful plaque that was made by a local artist, Lee Adams, and we invite all of you to join us for that. The dedication will start in the fireside room. It's a little room off of Throop Hall, and then during the dedication, we'll wind our way out to where the new plaque is and get to enjoy that and the unveiling of that. And after that, if you still have energy and you are so fired up by making sack lunches and filled with heart by dedicating the urbanite wall, and you're like, I am not going to leave Throop today, well, guess what? You could attend the Board of Trustees meeting. That's going to happen after the dedication. The Board of Trustees, Maureen, our president, is in the back. She's been preparing for the dedication and for the meeting. And they do a beautiful job of supporting our congregation. So a lot happening today. Welcome. We are glad all of you are joining us this morning. And each one of us is a light in the world, and the flame from our chalice symbolizes and reflects that light.
Our time together in worship is intimately connected with our daily lives. As a symbol of that connection, we light our chalice with a flame from our candles of hope and witness. With conviction, we answer the call of love, week from week and day to day. As we answer that call, let us remember that I am only one, but I am still one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. We light a second candle to honor the people and ancestors whose lands we now occupy. The land under and around Throop is the unceded land of the Gabrielino Tongva Band of Mission Indian people. May this knowledge and awareness lead us into dismantling systems of supremacies and oppressions. We light a third candle, symbolizing our watershed, the Arroyo Seco. May their waters continue to nourish life in our communities. We take a moment of silence, holding all of these in our hearts.
And as we continue to gather in together and worship, our opening hymn is Answering the Call of Love. It's in that teal hymnal, number 1014. You'll notice the words are a little different that we sing today than are printed. And it's part of our commitment as Unitarian Universalists to make sure that everyone can find their way into our circle of love. Please rise and sing out as body and spirit allow, number 1014. Welcome them into worship this morning.
A bright new day is dawning. When love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace.
Fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love.
We are answering the call of love.
We are answering the call of love. And we continue answering the call of love with our responsive reading. It's being shared today by Ian Campbell. And the congregation's response is, may we be drawn into love, compassion, and justice. Let's try that together. May we be drawn into love, compassion, and justice.
If you come as softly as wind within the trees, you may hear what I hear, see what sorrow sees.
May we be drawn into love, compassion, and justice.
If you come as lightly as threading dew, I will take you gladly, nor ask more of you.
May we be drawn into love, compassion, and justice.
You may sit beside me, silent as a breath. Only those who stay dead shall remember death.
May we be drawn into love, compassion, and justice.
And if you come, I will be silent, nor speak harsh words to you. I will not ask you why now, or how, or what you do.
May we be drawn in to love, compassion, and justice.
We shall sit here softly, beneath two different years, and the rich earth between us shall drink our tears.
May we be drawn into love, compassion, and justice. This morning, I asked Malcolm to chat with me a little bit about this idea I came across last week, and we had some conversations about it in our worship planning meeting. And so, how many of you all are familiar with the concept of the golden rule? Have you heard of that before? Yeah, Jean's very proud that I'm just saying, because I can see everybody's faces, and thank you, Jean. And what is that, the golden rule? Yeah, treat others as you would have done unto you.
Ooh, that's really nice. I kind of like that.
I think so, yeah. And it's a good concept, but of course, everyone's different.
You don't say.
I do say.
Oh.
I'm wondering, have any of you ever come across a feral cat?
Oh, all the time. My cat used to be feral.
I have two fluffy cats also that used to be feral, thanks to someone in the congregation that gifted them to me, and now they're a big part of my family. But if you're trying to befriend a feral cat, what are some things you might do?
Ooh, well, you're going to try to catch them, maybe, if they need some help. Like when I was trying to get Dante was just covered in mange and fleas. I'm like, he's got to go to the vet, so we have to catch him. So we had to put some food out for him to try to catch him.
You put food out.
Yeah.
Most feral cats are very interested in food. And so when you put the food out, did you put out food that you like? Like, did you put out oranges?
I mean, no, I don't think he would have been interested in oranges.
Did you put out pizza?
No.
I mean, what did you put out for this cat?
The stinkiest can of fish.
Okay. So clearly, if we're going to bring a feral cat into our family, we're not going to feed it exactly what we are feeding ourselves.
Yeah.
And so I came across this idea last week that's called the platinum rule. And it's a rule that goes a little bit further, I think, than the golden rule.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I like the sound of the platinum rule. What's better than the golden rule?
What's better than the golden rule is it says, do unto others as they would want done unto them.
Oh, because you and I are different. What a concept.
It is. But then I'm curious, I mean, how do we know what someone else wants?
Well, goodness. I mean, with a cat, you're just trying to take a guess at it. But we're people, so, I mean, I could just ask you how you want to be treated.
You could ask me.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And I'm also wondering if there might be times where it feels awkward or risky or even scary to ask someone else what they really need.
Oh, that never happens to me ever. I am never anxious about anything. I don't know, Tara, are you ever anxious asking me about stuff?
Well, sometimes, yeah,
No,
I am.
Really? What?
I am.
Oh, I'm surprised by that. Oh my goodness. Well, actually, I lied. I'm anxious all the time about asking people things and broaching subjects.
Well, I know that Malcolm does not spend all week at Throop. Malcolm is a professor at a community college, and I know that you have students who come from all different backgrounds and cultures and ages and socioeconomic realities, and so I'm just wondering how you traverse your students and try to find out what they need.
It's really hard. So I work at a college where we have over 60% of our student populace is BIPOC, and I am very white. I'm also very passionate about social justice issues. I'm also very passionate about what is in and isn't in the textbooks that they give me to teach out of. So I'll come across a whole section and it'll be like, oh, we said 5 words about Billie Holiday. That's not enough to talk about Billie Holiday. You all can pull me aside after service and I will happily give you a rant about Billie Holiday and what happened to her. How on earth am I going to talk to my students if I am so upset about the fact that this isn't in a textbook? How do I broach this whole subject with them without making it about my response and my anger? Because I am entitled to be angry about it. I'm entitled to be angry about what happened to Billie Holiday. But she's not part of my community. So how do I look into the eyes of one of my Black students and make sure that I am centering them and their experience engaging with this material? Have you heard about the theory of concentric circles of support, Tara?
I want to hear more about that.
Oh, I love this theory. So the theory of circles of support is that whoever is closest to a traumatic event needs the most support. And support always goes inward towards that person or those people, right? So if you have, let's say your best friend, had a cat that passed away, and you feel very sad and very upset that their cat passed away, do you go to your friend and demand support from your friend over her being upset over her cat passing away? Of course not. The support goes inward towards your friend. Will you need support too, potentially? Maybe you knew the cat too. That is where your next circle outward of support comes from, right? So when I'm interacting with my students, I'm entitled to be upset, yes, but my upset cannot outweigh theirs, and it cannot become their burden to protect my feelings about it. That's part of how I can show up and make sure that I'm treating them the way they want to be treated and asking respectfully and not making it about me.
I really appreciate the reminder that it's okay to also be angry or upset about something and to be able to monitor and have a boundaried response, because in those instances, yours can't outweigh that of the person who's closest to the traumatic event.
Absolutely. So when I ask how I can support you, how I ask matters then too, because it can't be about me feeling better by supporting you. Otherwise, that takes away the purpose of it. So how you ask sometimes matters, and why you ask matters.
Thank you, Malcolm.
You're welcome.
That's really beautiful. Today in our children's program, which is being led by Kate and Faith, they'll also be talking about issues of justice and equity. That's actually a real passion of Kate's and part of her professional life. And so we sing them into that program every week. And again, thank you, Malcolm, for the conversation. And thank you, Kate and Faith, for being with our youngest troopers today. And the words to the song we sing them is in the order of worship.
For you shall go out in joy, for you shall go out in joy, and come back in peace, and come back in peace. For you shall go out in joy, for you shall go out in joy, and come back in peace, and come back in peace. Blessed be.
There we go. Our pondering today is This Here Flesh by Cole Arthur Riley. I have a favorite sound. To be precise, it's not a singular sound, but a multitude. Have you ever stood in the presence of a tree and listened to the wind pass through its leaves? The roots and body stand defiant and unmoved. But listen. The branches stretch out their tongues and whisper, shh. Trees make symphonies without their trunks ever moving, almost as if the stillness of their centers amplifies their sounds. The tree may appear still, but if you look closer, you'll see that each leaf flails with breath. The tree may seem alone, but plow deep and you'll unearth its secret, gnarled roots, the grotesque and the beautiful, creeping into the soil, reaching toward the ancestors. Thomas Merton said, "No writing on the solitary, meditative dimensions of life can say anything that has not already been said better by the wind in the pine trees. I hold this close."
And we'll hold that feeling of closeness as we sing Spirit of Life together. It's number 1, 2, 3. And you can remain seated as we sing number 123.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blowing with the wind, rises in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice.
We draw close the threads of our value of justice and equity in the world. We draw them a little bit closer once a month by practicing generosity and giving away our offering plate that Sunday to a local community group that is doing work far beyond what we can do here at Throop all by ourselves. Some of you, if you were here at the beginning of the month, you may remember the powerful, impactful service we had where we welcomed in the rains, and some of you said we welcomed them back into the arroyo a little bit too much that weekend. And so in honor of those rains and in honor of our watershed, today's offering will be shared with the Arroyo Seco Foundation. The Arroyo Seco Foundation is a group that advocates an integrated and harmonious approach to watershed and flood management, water conservation, habitat enhancement, as well as the expansion of recreational opportunities. So if any of you have ever spent time hiking along the arroyo, if you've been to the Hahamunga Native Plant Nursery, you have to thank in part the good people of the Arroyo Seco Foundation. They do all sorts of trail maintenance and education for how we can be really great stewards of our watershed. So again, our offering today goes to Arroyo Seco Foundation. If you mean for your gift to be counted toward your pledge, do everything you can to make that readily apparent for Hillary and me. You might want to write it in very clear letters that you mean your gift to go to your pledge. If you're giving a gift of cash, you can use a green envelope. And if you would like that cash noted to your pledge, we ask that you write pledge and your name on the green envelope. Thank you for all the ways you support our community life together. Our morning offering will now be gratefully received.
Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not that circle, make it wider still, till it includes, embraces all the living. Come wander at this love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with humor spoken, and people keep no score of wrong and guilt, but will that human bonds remain unbroken. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
In a spirit of gratitude, we lift up all of those supporting today's worship service. Steve for running the live stream, Mark and Christy and Paula for serving as greeters, Harlow and Robert for offering the chalice lighting words, Ian and Jacqueline for offering additional readings, Kate and Faith for leading the children's program, Malcolm on music, and Hillary for all of your administrative support. And today, I would like us all to give a little extra special love to your board of trustees. That's such an important role in the congregation, and sometimes roles like that are ones that are not often visible to everyone in the church. And so today I'd like to thank Maureen, president of the board, Harlow, who is the secretary, Marissa, treasurer, Hans, who's a member at large, Roy, who is the vice president, Michael, who's a member at large, and Jim, a member at large. Thank you all for your faithful and dedicated service to the congregation. And as we give thanks for today's offering and all the ways you all support our Throop community life, please say the response to the offering. It's in the order of worship. For the ministries of the church in our community, we bless our offering with love and hope.
We also have a little extra special set of thanks today. So, Tara, I think you might be a little surprised by this. Teresa, would you pop up? We want to give a little extra special set of thanks to our dear Reverend Tara. Tara, something very important happened a couple of weeks ago, and for those who might not have heard, would you like to loop us in?
Well, yes. Hi, you really caught me off guard. Thank you. I actually feel a little teary with that. But for the past 4 years, I've been in a Doctor of Ministry program with Pacific School of Religion, and my project has been our worship life here at Throop. And on February 12th, I had my defense, and I passed with no revisions. And I'll graduate in May. It's a really beautiful pair of earrings that have hearts on them, and I told Teresa Bailey that if it wouldn't be so awkward, I'd put them in right now, but that would be weird. And it's really meaningful in part because, you know, at Throop we really think about how we have the heart at the center of all we do here. And my Doctor of Ministry project, I might cry. It was really a project of love because you all are all through all 127 pages of that project, and it's what we've created here together and sustained. And so I really feel like it was just the love of the Throop community in that. So thank you.
I'm not going to make Tara talk after that. I don't know if you can hear my guitar at all over there, but maybe it's a little bit. You don't really need it. You mostly need to hear me. Would you all repeat after me? Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. 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 I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Yeah, look at that. You all sing really beautifully. Let's sing that together. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I
I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. We take a breath in and exhale. And we take a breath in together. And we exhale, welcoming a sense of stillness, welcoming the soft sounds of gathered community that we listen to in these moments of stillness together. Breath of life and breath of love, we thank you for moving our lives in such a way that we come together as this gathered community on this Sunday. Each and every Sunday we're together, we know that some people are in the room with hearts so full of celebration and joy they can hardly sit still on the pew. And we know that some people come into this space with hearts so heavy and broken with sorrow that they are not sure what their next movement in the world is. And somehow with beauty and love and care, we find ways to hold all of that and hold one another. Into today's stillness, I invite you to spend a few moments reflecting on what is a need that you have that you wish you could tell someone else. And what is one way you wish you could offer another person care and attention? In our lives that are increasingly full and complex, give us the ability to slow down, to pay attention to our needs, to slow down and pay attention to one another, and to draw each other ever closer into circles of care and community and love. For all that is our life, we give our thanks and praise. Amen.
Hi, y'all. I'm going to make you sing with me again. And in fact, I think we should maybe stand for this one if your body feels up to it. In the back of your order of service, you'll find, I think the words are actually the full music to it, actually. We're going to sing through it a couple of times so we can learn it. All right? We're going to sing. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead. That's it. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes, don't you despair. Look up ahead, the path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't tell you're scared, and I'm scared too. But here I am, right next to you. Right next to you. We gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. We gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. Well, singing about putting one foot in front of the other and leading with love, yes, it made me remember that out in the larger community, that Throop Church is not known to everyone as a religious congregation. A lot of people know Throop Church as a dance hall. Did you know that? Teresa did, Jean did, yes. I can't tell you the number of times I'm out in Pasadena and I meet someone, I tell them I'm the pastor of Throop, and their whole face lights up and they start telling me about all the times they used to dance in Throop Hall. Contra dancing, folk dancing, ballroom dancing. They have danced it all in there on those old wood floors. And one of my favorite things about Throop, and frankly, a point of pastoral pride, is the fact that we have a disco ball in Throop Hall with its very own dedicated electrical switch. How cool is that? And also full disclosure, and Brad, I'm sorry to say this, but full disclosure is I am so relieved that when the search committee interviewed me for this job, that showing them my dance moves was not any part of what they wanted to know about me. Thank goodness. Hey, thank you, Brad. I admire the people who are always the first out on the dance floor, those courageous souls that let their bodies sway with confidence, that dance solo or partnered without a care in the world. Me, I prefer the cover of a really big group. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my hands and my arms while the rest of my body is moving. If you're a Seinfeld fan, you might remember Elaine's famous chicken dance. Denise knows what I'm talking about. I feel like Elaine out there. Well, this year, to move from dancing into denominational affairs, how is this for a transition? This year, the Unitarian Universalist Association is in the midst of revising our principles and purposes. Those are the ethical framework for our faith community. The principles and purposes, as we have them now, they were adopted almost 40 years ago in 1985. And they have given shape to this religion that I have dedicated my whole entire heart and soul and life to.
and a vision's been proposed, and we have been studying that revision at Throop this church year. Once a month, I've done a worship service on it, and we have a monthly lunch group that has been going through the revisions line by line. Some of you have been part of that lunch group. The big change for the principles, one big change, is that in the revision, an ethic of love is right at the center. And yes, they are depicting that with a heart. So I'm especially proud now of my heart earrings that you all have given me. And that ethic of love is surrounded by 6 values that have been identified. And each of those values is defined and also framed in covenantal language. So way back in September, when I led a worship service with you all, and I introduced the fact that we're having these revisions happening, I shared that I wasn't excited about it. I mean, I was kind of grumpy about it, to tell you the truth, because I felt like we had been all kind of asleep in the pandemic. We've been doing everything we could to just keep our church moving forward. And then I felt like I woke up after the pandemic, and then all of a sudden somebody was changing these principles. They're my principles. They're the only UU principles I had ever known. I told you I was not excited about the change, but I also told you that I was committed to learning more, and I was keeping an open mind about it. Wrapping my mind around this change, it was a little bit like the mental version of Elaine's jerky dance. The language felt awkward, it felt clumsy to me, and I was approaching it with my own 2 left feet. But as we have been reading and talking and discussing it, I am being more and more drawn in to the new language. So one of the 6 shared values is a value of equity. And this is what the proposed language says about equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. And we covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. Equity. In our lunch discussion last week, we talked about this value, and we noted that the way it's defined in this revision, that it's not necessarily the way that some of us at least are used to thinking about equity when it comes to equity and people. The definition some of us are used to when it comes to equity and people is an idea about treating people fairly and impartially. Does that ring true for you too when you think about equity in terms of how we interact with one another? But our revision is saying something radical and incredibly spiritual. We are declaring that every person has the right to flourish, and that we're going to use all the precious resources that are available to us to build a church community where every person can truly flourish here. They can flourish in their life. You and I know that we live in a world where it seems like so many people and our earth itself, they aren't flourishing. They're not even thriving. In some cases, people are barely even or are not surviving. Just this month, a non-binary teen was murdered in Oklahoma. They were murdered one day after being bullied by other students, and this had been reported to school officials that did Nothing. And when asked about it after the fact, the school superintendent stated that he refuses to acknowledge the existence of transgender or non-binary students. And he went on to say some other things about non-binary and transgender people that is so ugly and so hateful and so out of alignment with anything that you and I believe in here that we just wouldn't even say those things from the pulpit. Not even to share it, to say that what he said was wrong. What he said was wrong. We don't repeat those types of things here. Last year, climate disasters forced 2.5 million Americans out of their homes. This is from the New York Times. That displacement is not felt the same across socioeconomic lines. The data shows that the people facing the worst disaster outcomes tend to be from communities that have very little to no political power and who are subject to discrimination. Black people and Latinos tend to be displaced most often, and poor people tend to be displaced for longer. And that's amplified for people in those groups who identify as LGBTQIA+. So it is hard to just survive in this world, let alone thrive, let alone flourish. But it's in that context that we are proposing that every person has the right, an inalienable right, to flourish. That feels radical today. To survive, we know we need adequate food, shelter, and clothing. And I was thinking, to thrive, what do we need to feel like we're thriving? You know, Malcolm and I talked earlier, and I think that answer is going to be different for every one of you to feel like what you need to thrive. But for me, it's a sense of meaning and purpose in my life. And then there's this question of flourishing. I mean, how many of you on a day-to-day or weekly basis are thinking to yourself, am I flourishing today? What do I need to flourish? What does my family need to flourish? What do my friends need? What does my congregation need to flourish? And again, that answer will be different for each and every one of you, but to flourish, I think we need to know that we are needed by someone else. And I think we need to be in a state where we are both giving and receiving close and careful attention. We flourish. Sally McFaig is a late ecofeminist theologian, and she wrote that each of us must create a working theology for the ecological and justice crises we are facing today. And she says a working theology should not be complicated. It's a set of beliefs that guide us in our daily living. And she says, in order to discover our own working theology, we ask ourselves what beliefs are livable. That is, what beliefs will support the flourishing of life. A flourishing life is one where we have our basic necessities met, where we can pursue purpose and meaning, and where we remember that we need each other, that we offer and receive love, care, and attention, and that we all need it. We all deserve it. And we have a right to enjoy it in our lives. And in offering that to one another, we have to continually be aware that love, care, and attention that feels right for me may feel really differently for you. And how do we know what each other needs? Well, Malcolm and I talked about it a little earlier today in the lesson. We have to pay attention to each other. We have to ask. And then we have to pause and really listen and take in what the other person says they need. As a person who holds identities that include being white and cisgender and heterosexual and able-bodied for now, I know that I can move through the world with dance moves and an outlook that just feel really comfortable to me. And I don't always know what I may be missing. What am I not seeing? What am I not picking up on? What do I just don't know? And I don't always know how to ask. I don't know what to ask sometimes. When I want to know from you, what do you need to flourish? And at times, I feel like I'm approaching you with 2 left feet. And I wonder if any of you have felt that way also when trying to be part of those communities, the circles of care that Malcolm described in the lesson. But when we're here at Throop, at least, I want to encourage all of us to get out on that dance floor and to look up and around, because we're not out there alone. We are together. Some of us awkward, some of us gliding, some of us dipping, some of us twirling, but there we all are together, letting our courageous souls, letting our bodies sway with each other, committed to our collective flourishing. Let it be a dance, my friends. Let it be a dance. We sing together our closing hymn, number 311, Let It Be a Dance. And please rise and sing as body allows.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you
Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance.
Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead.
Feel the rhythm, feel the need to reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong then nothing's right.
Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance.
Let the sunshine, let it rain.
Share the laughter,
bear the pain.
and round we go again. place a hand on your heart and reach out a hand to someone in the room or on the live stream. Our chalice is extinguished. Let the days in front of us be a dance. Move out into the world with your courageous souls, bringing love, compassion, and justice to all you meet and to yourselves. I love you all. Go out and love the world. Amen, and blessed be.